I'll be honest with you, me taping these intros in a sleeveless cotton shirt when it's 30 degrees in the garage, yeah, this is kind of the male version of wearing high heels. Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. Hope you guys are ready for your Tex Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, because it is week number 6 of the slow descent into madness, the high stakes game of whack-a-mole, the visceral mystery that is Illinois Archery season 2020. So welcome to week number 6. By God, Wile E. Coyote's my spirit animal. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this week's episode of Tex Grebner Outdoors Illinois Archery season. Will this be the week that I break the whitetail curse? If you guys want to stay up to date on all things Tex Grebner Outdoors, or to interact with me, you can do that in real time at Tex Grebner Outdoors on Instagram. We also have a TexGrebnerOutdoors.com where we have a merch store if you want to support the channel in a way beyond simply watching the videos. But also, it will give you a hot link right back here in case you've missed an episode, because you never know when YouTube is going to decide it doesn't want to show you my videos because I'm a deplorable creator. I hung this stand mostly after dark underneath the bluff. Holy crap, was it a job getting in here. But I got in the stand well before dawn. Beautiful weather, perfect wind, and hunting is a visceral mystery. It's always super exciting to hunt a brand new stand. And I say hunting is a visceral mystery because so much of hunting has to do with being able to predict where the deer might be wanting to go and where they're going to come in from. It's a high stakes game of whack-a-mole. I was expecting the deer, if they showed up, to come out of the cornfield, across the ragweed field, and come in here by the creek to bed. Of course, the squirrels were active as ever, and I look across the creek, because it makes an S underneath the bluff, and here's a buck standing there 40 yards away. Now, I can make a 40-yard shot, but with the limbs in the way of my trajectory, there wasn't much I could do about it. And he didn't stick around too long because I was in direct sunlight and he locked on to me. But I'm going to fix his wagon. I put a stand on the other side of the creek. Great stand, terrible day. I overslept the morning hunt. Then about noon I find out that my ATM card has been defrauded. I was super shook up about that, so when I finally did get out to hunt, I didn't have a battery in my other camera. Overall, at least so far, a much better start to the day than yesterday. No new fraudulent charges on my bank account, as well as waking up before dawn and getting into my stand while it was still dark. And I was super excited to hunt this stand in the morning. The wind was perfect. The weather was misty and warm. Felt more like October than November. I had a good feeling about this stand because as it got warmer and warmer, there was a solid chance that the deer might be coming through this thicket in order to bed on the creek sand underneath the bluff. So I was excited. But it's a high stakes game of whack-a-mole. And I knew that I couldn't stay in my stand all day because I had stuff to do around the farm. So I decided once I figured they were bedded and weren't going to be moving, that when I walked out, I was going to take off my boots and walk back to the Jeep barefoot with my boots in my pack. Get down, take off my boots, and I'm about 50 yards down the creek on my way out of this stand, and I see this chocolate rack. Because I get a funny feeling and look over on my left side, and here's this giant buck out in the ragweed, about 25 yards, but on the wrong side of the creek. I made up my mind, yep, I can make this shot. As soon as he stands up, I'm going to bust him. But because of how tall the weeds were, I didn't know he was already standing up. So he just turned and walked out of my life. Now, if you guys want a discount on all your Trad Life supplies, you can use the code of Tex Grebner at checkout for a shipping discount at ThreeRiversArchery.com. Use the code of Tex Grebner. If the code doesn't work and you're planning on ordering anyway, just email Johnny Karch. He'll do it retroactively to your order because you're probably going to be shopping there anyway. If you're in the market for some high-end hunting ammunition between 505 Gibbs and 30-06 and all calibers in between, check out my friends over at RA Ballistic Engineering. They also have some high-end slug gun ammunition that pretty much turns a 12 gauge into something capable of killing a rhino. I got up for this hunt stupid early. I mean, woke up at 1 in the morning, knew if I went back to sleep I might oversleep the sunrise, so I just stayed up. Super excited. I love the phantasmagoria in the darkness just before dawn where a deer could be walking down your trail. And sometimes it actually is. And most of that time, they're coming from the wrong wind direction. Well, I get into the stand at 4 in the morning. Just before shooting light, there's a doe that sneaks up on me through the grass and blows so loud under me that I about fell off the stand. And that was about the extent of this hunt because she let everybody know. I don't know if deer can live to be 10 years old in the wild, but a 3-year-old doe would be smarter than a 10-year-old buck. The slow descent into madness has officially begun because it really is so much like a high-stakes game of whack-a-mole about knowing where you need to sit. 75 degrees, sunny, little bit breezy, wind out of a perfect direction. I mean, my normal experience of November weather is 33 degrees and raining. I'm cherishing every bluebird day going into winter because who knows what the rest of the year is going to bring. I've moved this stand around the tree to face a different angle because in most cases the deer have come into the pasture from the cornfield rather than crossing the pasture to get into the cornfield, and they've always come out behind me, or at least a lot of the time. Well, it gets to be about the tail end of shooting light, like barely legal, like the last minute. Buck comes out of the brush walking down the creek. I get up, get ready, get cameras on him, and he comes out on the wrong side of the creek when he climbs out. The tragic part is he literally walked right under a tree that I had a stand on for years, but I never hunted because it was so specific. And I have since taken that stand down and moved it. The high-stakes game of whack-a-mole continues. In the interest of making every hunt count, when I woke up from a deer dream super excited from last night, at 1:30 in the morning, I just went ahead and stayed up because I was afraid that if I went back to sleep, I wouldn't wake up in time to get to the stand by 4. So I just stayed up. And I was hoping that a buck would come by this stand. And it did. It just was, 150 yards away about. And the rut's starting to heat up a little bit. They are running with their nose to the ground, but they're not really pushing does just yet. So it was a super exciting morning, especially when I almost got my first raccoon with a bow and arrow. Now, I've never had raccoon, but they got 4 drumsticks on them after all, so I wouldn't put it past me to try and eat one. Of course, he didn't give me time. I should have just went with one camera on him and taken the shot. It sounds weird to say fresh fallen leaves because they're freshly fallen, but they're dead leaves. Well, you can be stealthy on grass and on fresh snow. You can be ghostly getting into a stand or sneaking up. On fresh leaves, you sound like you're walking on potato chips. So in the grass at the top of the bluff, I was fine. Walking in, I get about 5 feet down the bluff, and there's nothing I can do about the fact that I sound like I'm walking on potato chips. And I blew a buck that had 8 points out of the ragweed. But I was here, I made up my mind I was going to get in the stand and sit till dark, because who knows, a doe might bring him back past me. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at ThreeRiversArchery.com. Thank you very much, those of you involved in law enforcement, you good cops out there, and those of you serving in the military ready to die for freedom anywhere. And thanks for watching Tex Grebner Outdoors. Maybe someday I'll break the whitetail curse. But for now, life ain't like the pornos, hunting ain't like TV shows, and I bring you the reality of Illinois archery season.